Welcome to part two of the card, the moon. Now we're going to talk about what is really the moon really means. Now, when I was learning, I had a notebook and I would always, every time I learned something new, I'd run and write it on this list. So I have a list of what we call keywords or key ideas. So, and I've done this for 20 years, let me tell you. So I've read all the books, I'm not going to read another tarot book in my life, really, because when you realize that you've done a class, you've read the books, you've practiced, you've read for a lot of people, you read for yourself, and you've had these experiences outside of the cards with life itself. So what I did with this list, I put it in alphabetical order. But some of them are not. So I'm just going to read them to you. Maybe when I was, formulating the notes for this class, it all went haywire. So in the moon card, we're walking alone in the night. We're only guided by our instincts and by our dreams. So one of the many meanings of these cards is actually deception. So if you're asking if somebody is your friend and the moon card comes up, no, they are not. You are being deceived. This is a card of lies. This is a card of gossip. Do you remember that song by Manu Chao called Sol y Luna? And I'm going to, maybe I should talk about that in the Spanish part. Okay, so in this card, there's our senses are deceiving us. We think that there's a door open, we hear footsteps and there's nobody. This card it's like twilight. It's not day and it's not like we're living in a parallel universe on the in-between. Just like in our dreams, we've gone to a parallel universe because there are many, many highways and sometimes we change lanes. We can change lanes many times in a day. These are things that are coming up new in this new world. So they say in this card, it is darkest just before the dawn. In this card, you are going to discover hidden truths with yourself and with the people who are around you in your environment, right? This is an energy that is basically going to give you some wear and tear. It's a tiring situation. It takes up all your energy because the cards, the drops of water are like tears that go up to heaven. So there's some kind of disorientation. Two realities, but you're not clear which is which. There are some doubts moving forward because there's an eclipse. This new reality is a reflection of the past that guides you. The past represents our experience that has guided us, right? It's it's like the Eight of Cups going to the Nine of Cups, right? It's like the moon going to the sun. So this card is like I have some imaginary creations of my own and I believe them to be true. So I might be disillusioned, right? Realize that we're lost in this card. But the truth is, we're much further on than we realize. We're almost there. The sun is coming up tomorrow, right? But there's something covering my vision. There's clouds that move by. I'm not allowed to see what's really happening. Yeah, what is happening here is not really what's going on. How many times has that happened in your life? The only thing you're to be guided by is your intuition. You're not sure if somebody has told you the truth or not, but something feels off. That's your intuition because you're under the influence of the moon, right? The moon. So this is a card of deceptive illusions. It's a card of imagination. We don't know if it's a conspiracy or if it's the truth, right? If you come to this card and you've done the work, then you know exactly what's going on and you know how to deal with it. You're not going to get flustered. You're going to know that it's not going to last long and you're going to do something about it. You're not just going to stay in it and wallow. This is the card that comes up when we have problems, with our mind. So we may have some paranoia in this card. But we could be speaking if we're talking about health, which is a whole nother matter. This is mental disorders that will come and go. Remember here, everything is duality, right? This card will also talk about when we're speaking of love matters, it could be affairs with women. So if you want to know if they're being faithful or not, unfortunately, this card is telling you, trust your intuition. We can't tell you exactly, but when men have problems with women, this card comes up, so because they're confused as well. They don't know if they love them or they don't, you know. So they'll go for both. You know, we love the both of them. We can't leave one for the other. So his body is the thing that's going to tell him. He's going to be guided by what he feels, by his instincts, right? Now, this card is a place of shadow. It's a card of night. It's going it alone in the night. Are you going to get lost? Are you going to be scared? Don't confuse your dreams with reality. Yeah. This is a card of darkness. It's a dark night of the soul. It's when we chase fantasies or we imagine things. There is not a lot of clarity. It's a card of caution. There's a distorted reality in these cards. We're rowing backwards and all we can see is our past. We cannot see the present. We're confronted with our fears, with our unconscious, with our dreams. We confuse dreams with reality. Yeah, the sun and the moon are one in this card. If you don't keep moving towards your goal, keep moving towards your future, everything you did is going to be lost. Are you going to go back to the past? Are you going to repeat that cycle? So, you know, if you go back to the past, you think you should know that you're going to have to start over. Maybe it's necessary to start over. You know, go back to class and start over from day one, because if you come to this test and you can't answer any other questions, it means that you're not supposed to be here. We don't know how you got here. And of course it's uncomfortable, and of course you're going to repeat, right? So it's an important place when you get to at the end of this journey. You are actually wandering aimlessly, and all you can see is the past. So this moon is going to talk about hidden truth, things that you're not seeing, but basically it is this. Things are not as they appear. You know, it's like when you're driving in your car and the rear view mirror says, the side mirror or the rear view mirror, things are not as they appear. Things are closer than they appear, you know, and you're driving forward and you're looking back at traffic behind you because you need to, so you can move forward. And you have to be very careful. Yeah. So in love, this card means there's definitely a lack of clarity. Someone isn't being entirely honest. And you can tell because of how they're reacting through their body, right? They don't want to hug, they don't want to kiss you. There's something wrong there. So it's like trying to see what is happening, and all you can see are these clouds moving before your eyes. Objects may appear closer than they really are. So there may be some self-deception too. You're trying to tell yourself that this person loves you, and they don't really, and you can tell it's in your body, you know. So if you don't want to pay attention to it or pay attention to your intuition, it means you can't see the reality. So you're obviously in a state of denial. So here we are. We have to pay attention to our gut feelings, pay attention to your dreams, because dreams are messages that come from your subconscious mind, and they're trying to tell you something important. So you're going to have to delve deeper into your emotions and explore these underlying fears and anxieties that you have, because they're going to affect the relationships that you have at work, with your partner, with your children, in your home, with your friends, everywhere, right? So there is some uncertainty and there's some confusion. You're unsure about what you're feeling, unsure about what your partner is feeling, unsure about the future of the relationship. This card says, do not make hasty decisions. And it says, take your time to gain clarity. Every time the moon card comes, do not make decisions. You're in doubt. Doubt means no. Simply put, you do not have to make a decision, right? If you feel pressured to go somewhere and the fear has come up, then that is not the right decision. The correct decision is never going to make you feel in the moon, like you're in the moon card. So the moon card means that there is some hidden emotions and fears that are inside of you, right? There must be some emotional baggage. And there's many reasons that this card can come up when it comes to emotional baggage, because of course we're talking about the body. We're talking about the moon, which is a feminine card. We're talking about maybe the mother. We're talking about a maternal situation. We could be talking about pregnancy. We could be talking about all kinds of things. I mean, when you're pregnant, you don't feel yourself, right? I remember when I was pregnant and the first few months, all food tasted metallic because my hormones were going crazy. So there's a possible deception in this card, and you're being asked to follow your intuition, right? I don't read reverse cards, but if you do, this card is going to indicate to you that this deception is going to be shown to you, or a period of confusion is ending. But if at some point you get a card with the sun in it or a very bright background, obviously you're going to figure it out. There is nothing that hides in the dark that we're not going to find out. Whether it's a tower, whether it's the devil card, whether it's the moon card. These are considered night cards, right? And the nine of swords. Everything, because everything is in total balance, right? We just have to have patience and we'll see it. So if you're in a relationship, a love relationship, and this card comes up for you, it will suggest that there's some communication problems, hidden resentments. You're not able to communicate what you're feeling. You're not being honest with yourself, your partner not being honest with you. There's some kind of deceit going on here. You cannot see things clearly. By the time I'm finished with you with these two videos, you won't need to ever read another book about the moon, and you will not be in any kind of doubt, because that's how you learn, by repeating and repeating, and by taking a master class. Consider this a master class on the moon, even though there may be a lot of things I'm not talking about, because it doesn't matter how long you've studied tarot, worked with it, we'll never know. It's like astrology. We need several lifetimes to learn all the things we need to know, right? So there's a lot of things we have to learn on our own. So with this moon card, sometimes we feel so insecure and so unsure. And all these lovely love songs that talk about all those things are cards of the moon, you know? So we may feel that we want to reject this card, right? Because we're in denial. We can't get the answers. If this card comes up, stop the reading. You're not going to get the answers. You are, but you need to go inside. The answers are inside you, right? So there's a lot of other cards in the minor arcana that talks about the moon. Like if you see the two of swords, there's a moon there. In the eight of cups, there's a moon. Yeah. So it's, we know that the chariot is the Cancer card. We know the high priestess also has a moon. And whatever deck you're using, if there's moons in different places, they're all connected. So anywhere you see the moon in the tarot is speaking about intuition, emotional depth, or something dreamlike. It's also talking about all these things we're talking about. There's some kind of confusion there, right? So it reinforces the theme of the moon card. Even though the moon hasn't come out, there's little pieces of it that are coming out. So there's some kind of internal nighttime journey. There's something subconscious. There's something hidden. There's something underneath in the feelings, right? So it's very subtle, but we can begin to see and understand what's going on with the person who has come for the reading, with the consultant. So find a deck that's rich with symbolism and interpretations. Okay. So the moon is a female archetype. So if you want to study a little bit of what the moon is as a planet, the cycles of the moon, it represents the cosmic mother, right? And the cosmic father would be the sun, which is the sun and the moon, the most important luminaries in astrology. And if you look at the sun card, you will see that these water drops are actually opposite of the moon. The sun is giving us energy because those drops are being directed downwards. So that's to give you an idea of what the moon does, takes from us, right? And it shows the moon is also have to do with all the lunar phases that we go through. It has to do with the menstrual cycle, all of that. Moon is also associated to magical power. We see these cards where we can bring down the moon with rituals, and we do our little rituals every time the moon is full or the moon is new, and we have to clear our cards, stuff like that, right? No, the moon is linked to the world of dreams, to the imaginary, the subconscious. And so the moon in this tarot is looking towards the past, and the face of the moon is actually dark, and the sun is behind it trying to shine. So there's something hidden. Somebody's not showing the real face, or they have a double face, right? There's some kind of duality. There's something that the moon is blocking, right? Now, what does this lobster or this crab have to do with with the subconscious and the 12th house, because it's coming out of the depths of the unconscious. It's going to represent, the moon means the female bloodline. It's talking about the ancestors, the females. It could be talking about your family. Like we say, we're talking about the mother's side of the family, probably, or the woman on the man's side. Now, this lobster could be coming out to attack you in your dreams. It could be nightmares. We say that when we're being psychically attacked, we have nightmares. That's how you will know that your energy is being infiltrated, because you are leaving your body, you're out on the astral plane. That's why it's so important for you to protect your energy in the mornings and in the evenings, because these things happen, because there's people playing around with the moon. Listen, I'm getting excited now. I'm going to stop because this is not for me to talk about in this video, but y'all know, pues. So it's a card of secrets. It's a card where the tower is showing a tower, or some tower situation that may be coming. It's one of those cards that could be a warning card, like the tower is saying, here I'm coming, especially if it's in the future. You know, it's like the Knight of Swords, he's actually advising, a tower is coming, because he's running off on his horse to the castle to tell the king and queen that tower is on its way. The warring factions are closing upon us. We have to do something. Look, I've got my sword out. So these are all the different things that we see in the moon card. So I want to talk about soon about health matters and stuff like that. Anyway, so the moon, clandestine encounters. Yeah, somebody's trying to deceive you, or you're deceiving yourself. You know, we're going to talk about money as well. So when we get this card and we're talking about health problems, we're talking about things that are not seen. They're inside of the body. So we can't see what's going on inside our stomach or in our brains or whatever it is. But since we're talking about the moon, we're talking about intestines, we're talking about the whole digestive process, we're talking about pregnancy, possibly. We could be talking about anything that's going on that we cannot see. We're talking about things that are hidden. We're talking about all our bodily fluids. You know, we're talking about our acids, our hormones, all of this. We're talking also about our emotional health. We're talking about our mental health. We're going to talk about depression, psychological and psychiatric problems. Yeah, these are things that are hidden in the stories of our ancestors and our family. That's why when you have these things, they will ask you, do you know about anything here? Because these things are heredited through the hormones, through the blood, through pregnancy. We're talking about the maternal lineage here. We're talking about the mother. We're talking about the grandmothers and the great-grandmothers, right? And so we're also talking about hidden situations within the family, because where else can you find the greatest gossipers but in your own family? You know, word moves very quickly. And that is why the Seven of Swords is astrologically the moon in Aquarius. Aquarius means groups of any kind, and the moon is your family. And the moons could be women, the moon could be women also. It could be a groups, it could be friends, it could be associations. So we're just going to finish up right now and say that the moon is the most difficult card of the 22 major arcanas. It represents the great test. It is the dark night of the soul. Let us see if everything you've learned has been useful to you. It's going to represent the deepest part of your psyche. It's your subconscious, your imagination, the dreams. It is nighttime, it is intuition, it is nostalgic as anything. You know, I'm feeling this so strongly and I cannot stop. Day and night, I'm being eclipsed. Total eclipse of the heart. So the past has returned. I'm melancholy. I want to go back to the womb. You know, it's time for regression. I'm rowing to the future, but I'm looking at my past. I cannot see what's going to happen in the future. The forces of nature at work here. It's a major arcana. You cannot intervene and you cannot negotiate with the forces of nature. The best you can do is get some therapy. There's no logic, there's no reason. That is not going to help you in the moon card, because it's a card of just pure emotions, unadulterated emotions. When you're in the moon card, you're to feel it. It's like when you're gone to the beach and you're out in the sea and you're in the middle of the sea, right? And you realize that you're just like a piece of driftwood. The water is going to move you any way it wants to. So even though you're treading water, trying to stay still, you're going to be moved. Your emotions and what you're being asked to do is just float and to feel it, because, or go as deep as you can. So there's confusion. You're feeling disoriented. It's a time of twilight. It is when just before the dawn, or just before the twilight, the dusk. And in this card, you're going to discover hidden truths about yourself and about people who are around you. Right now, there's a lack of clarity, there's doubts, but it's temporary, right? It's temporary. Don't confuse dreams with reality. Stop chasing fantasies. You're lacking clarity. It's dark. Be careful. You're not seeing clearly. This is not your true reality. Things are not as they appear to seem. So in this card, it's asking you to confront your fears, right? Guide yourself by experience. The Hermit is here. This is our imaginary creations. Yeah, just keep going. You'll get there. Remember, it is a journey. And the end of the journey is the Sun card. And when you get to the Sun, you just fly through the rest of the cards. Yeah. So try all the things we said we're going to do. Let your body speak, right? All these kind of things. So it's a lot of self-deception, anxiety, uncertainty, confusion, insomnia. It may even cause hypochondria attitudes, right? You feel betrayed, you have hidden enemies, you're lost, you're in danger, self-deception. You're a victim of false information and hypocritical relationships. My goodness. This card talks about the uterus and your menstrual cycle. Yeah, where's the phase of the moon today? That's the first thing you to find out. No, the moon is in Pisces, so I'm lost. Everybody's going to be lost that day. That is not a day of decisions. Pay attention to astrology. Pay attention to it, I'm telling you, right? So the moon is going to bring these phobias, it's going to distract you. All you're going to want to do is sleep. And when you sleep, you're going to dream. So we're talking about your health. It has to do with fertility, gestation of anything, pregnancy, lactation, ovaries, womb, breast, premenstrual syndrome, organic fluids, digestive juices, lymphatic system, glandular secretions like mother's milk, the endocrine system, the digestive system. This card is going to come up when you're having problems with epilepsy, obesity, depressive states, insomnia, you have allergies and you don't know where the heck they come from. You have a nodule here, you have a cyst here, and it's not visible, it's inside, right? Okay. Now, when people come and they ask about work and this card comes up, the most generally is they're not wanting to talk about work. There's some emotional underlying problem, but they're just programmed to ask about this. Or at work, if it's really at work, we're talking about some kind of reconstruction, reorganization, where things are temporarily upheaval. So there's a lot of fantasy, a lot of imagination, but you feel and you know, I'm either going to lose my job, something is going to happen. And generally, listen to intuition, because you're right. There's a lot of instability, there's a lot of reorganization, there's a lot of changes. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Everybody is always two different things here. People asking about money. This is not a time to deal with money, not a time to invest. You're not seeing things clearly. All the things we spoke about is what's going to happen now. Your financial situation requires some kind of reorganization. Be careful. This is not a time to invest. It's not a time to spend. Okay? As matters of love, listen to your intuition. There's some confusion. There may be some jealousy. There's gossip. There's a lot of talk, right? If other cards come up that confirm that there is some situation with a third person, then you'll have to do that. But you can never, never, never give a verdict with just one card. No, it's also telling you that your partner is fear, his emotions are changing all the time, as are yours. No, if you just met somebody or the moon card, oh my God, it could be all this romanticism, all this sentimentality. In which case, you're being advised that something is not right and you're being love bombed. Okay? And there is one other thing I wanted to talk to you about, what this card means. Give me a second here. Give me a second here. Let me just put a pause here a second. Okay, so I've come to the end of what I want to talk about, and I want to finish because I got a very quick resuming of what happened in that Breeder book. Because every time I see the moon card, I remember Breeder. Now, because we spoke about Breeder in our course, I mean, learning tarot is such a wonderful thing. It has been quite an experience for me. That's why I'm doing the things that I'm doing now. So at the end of the book, because I don't want to be too spoiling, those who know. So if you don't want to know, stop the video here and go read the book. And then come back to this part of it. So there's the last part. There's a part when the teacher or the maestro leaves her alone in the woods for a night. And he kind of just disappears as far as I can remember. But it's a pivotal moment in her spiritual education. So her teacher is a wise man. He guides her on the spiritual journey. And then at the end, he subjects her to this initiation or this test so that she can confront her deepest fears. How would you feel left alone by yourself in the middle of a forest at night? You know how many things are in a forest? So the intention is to force her to face her inner demons, her imagination, and so that she can learn to rely on her own strength and her own intuition. Strength and intuition, we're talking about the strength card, right? Because when you look at the 3 levels of the major arcana, when we get to the emperor, underneath the emperor is the strength, and underneath strength is the moon. If you don't have that strength and that control over your emotions, you're going to get lost in the moon. So this test is to help her to overcome her fears, right? And to be strong. Once you get through the moon, you'll never suffer one more time. You say, oh, this is another one of those experiences. I'll just do what I did last time. Hermit. So Breeder is left alone in the dark, dense forest, and she's confronted by anxieties, the unknown. She's fearful, she's uncertain, she's in a high state of vulnerability. And because of this, all these things, she's forced to confront her inner self and to discover who she is. She's got to get through this, right? So this moon is going to represent it for her a symbolic rite of passage, like a kind of initiation. It's the necessary confrontation with fear that is so essential for our spiritual growth. You know, we always see these things like calm water's never a good sailor made. He has to go through the perfect storm. So it highlights the theme of self-discovery and the importance of trusting your own inner guidance. This is a key moment in Breeder's learning, right? And then the next day comes and the sun is out, and then she sees that it's the same wood that it's the same forest that she was walking through. So this trial at night or trial in the darkness is designed to push her beyond her comfort zone. If we do not leave our comfort zone, this is represented by the devil. We're never going to break free in the tower and to clear away those belief systems that keep us trapped. We're never going to advance. We're never going to get to the star, man. So this is what all this means on a spiritual level, right? So she found her spiritual significance. She found who she was. She realized how strong she was. She came out on top, right? She did that deep dive into her inner self. This reminds me of the card, the Hanged Man. It's very similar to what the Hanged Man does. He comes home. He doesn't turn on the TV, all lights out. He doesn't read a book. He just goes to bed early and looks at the ceiling. He's in total darkness and he doesn't know what's coming. He would die that very night, right? And he's, when you go to bed at night is when all the fears come out. What if, right? What if the money don't come? What if I can't pay my bills? Good God, right? What if I get fired? What if this person, etc., etc., etc. So in this card, we're being asked to confront our fears, right? Our deepest fears in isolation, a lot of anxieties. This is not a joke card when people come up. You have to deal with them, deal with this card and know what the person is feeling. So you have to feel it too, right? It's like, I'm going to go back into my dark night of the soul. There are no external distractions. Breeder does not have internet. She doesn't even have a phone. She's compelled to go inside. She's compelled to do Neptune. That's why Neptune rules Pisces, right? That's how we're going to get through. Neptune is at 29 degrees. Now we're at the end of the end of the end, all right? Before this brand new beginning. And we're going to take everything that we've learned and we're going into Aries with that to start a new cycle. So Brida had to rely on her inner resources, which are intuition and her strength, right? And this helped her to understand herself better. She has actually mastered herself, which is what we're here for. She now has a connection with the unseen. She's now protected by the night because she is a creature of the night. She became the night. She was immersed in nature. She was in her own nature. She became one with nature because her body had to lie down and sleep. There became a time when she was overcome and she had to learn to trust the earth. She had to lie down and sleep, right? So she was protected, realized by those unseen forces around her. And that's how we're going to have to learn to trust our inner guidance. We're going to have to learn to trust God. We can't see, but He's there, right? She had to learn to trust her instincts. This is so vital for anybody who's on a spiritual path. You have to learn to develop your inner wisdom, your inner vision. So all this learning was to bring her towards the sun so that she can realize who she really is, not who people tell her who she are, not who she imagine herself to be, who she actually really is. She's a boss. She's a hero, right? She discovered her inner strength. And in all that, she has deepened her connection to the spiritual realm. It was really necessary to her. It's a crucial step in her journey. And all these things are going to happen to you when you start studying the tarot. You're going to understand when you are these places, and when they happen to you, you're going to understand, and you know where you are and why it's happening, and you're not going to buck and carry on. Okay, that's what I have to tell you about the moon. It's quite a lot of information, wasn't it? I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you will never have any doubts. Making sense with my hands about doubts. And I'm invisible for this video. So if I don't even know, I hope I am. All I wanted to do is look at the moon. So I wanted to step out next time the moon is new or the moon is full. Or basically, why don't you just step out every night and realize that every night when you go to sleep, you don't know if you're going to wake up in the morning, right? It constitutes an invisibility. You're going into the astral world. And so every death has a rebirth. We actually die to our Saturnian lives, and we go into our Neptune lives, and then we wake up in the morning again. We're at the judgment card, and we are reborn. So every night there's death and rebirth. Every single day we go through those cycles, right? And so life and death is just another bigger cycle. And we know when we wake up, we're going to be somewhere else when the time comes for us to make that transition from the moon to the sun. Okay, everybody. Until next time.